Myritis Ryder. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I grew up in Trenton, Illinois. I spent several months on the beach in San Francisco before traveling north to Seattle, wherein I came to here. And I am a professional fruit smasher. I find fruit smashing to be a very intimate experience. It's the closest that you can get to nature without digging a hole in the ground, I think. It's a very complicated process, fruit smashing, one that I feel a lot of people just don't quite understand, and neither do I. The process of smashing fruit is vastly misunderstood in a lot of society. A lot of people have gone and given it a bad name, making it seem like a joke, like a show and a trick with a sledgehammer, and that's all it's about. But it's a deeply intimate scientific process, and I spend a lot of my time charting stars and cycles of the moon. I mean, you really gotta look at all that stuff if you want to know what is the right time to smash fruit and what kinds of fruit are good to smash during which lunar phases. I mean, even tidal forces. I mean, we're in the middle of the country, but the tides are everywhere around us and they affect the wind, and that all makes a difference. You know, tool selection when it comes to smashing fruit is not all about show. You know, you grab a big, pitchfork and people get scared. But, I mean, that's not what this is about. I mean, and you think about the length of your arm and where you're gonna smash the fruit. What kind of fruit? I mean, if you've got a hard fruit, you definitely don't want to go in there with a cotton swab and try to stab it or anything. Because, you're not going to get anywhere. But, garden tools tend to work really well for me, personally. And I'm not trying to judge anyone else, but, you think about color of the tools. How is that going to look covered in banana? Some things don't look so good covered in banana. So, you gotta think about that. And a lot of it just comes down to what's handy, what's around, what can you get out of your neighbor's garage, I deal with a lot of opposition every day when I go out to practice my art. My family has kicked me out of the home. My extended family will no longer speak to me. I actually heard of one occasion where my cousins went back through all the family photo albums and put stickers over my face. So, apparently they are related to unicorns and smiley faces and car stickers, but that's just part of dealing around what you want to do and making it your passion and your dream. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of friends, but the fruit are my friends until I smash them. So, when you try to think about where you want to smash your fruit, you gotta kind of consider the reaction of the community. I've tried to smash fruit in people's backyards or, in the middle of cul-de-sacs, but you really don't get a good reaction if you try to do that. There's too many small fingers that get in the way, and you end up hurting people. So I found that more secluded areas are appropriate because it's not about the show and the attention. It's about the connection that you have as an individual with that fruit and the process of giving that fruit back to Mother Earth. So places that are more naturous are it's easier to make that connection. When I try to think about what kind of fruit I'm going to smash on any given day, it usually involves firstly a trip to the grocery store. So that's usually where my day begins. and you get to know those produce managers pretty well. They're very helpful. Beyond that, it kind of just involves thinking about what tools you have available and what kind of impact that's going to have. Then, beyond that, you just let that fruit speak to you, and sometimes you want to make a big mess, and sometimes you don't, so you just kind of got to go with what works. I found that bananas and watermelons kind of tend to explode when you hit them just right. So, I mean, if you've got the space for it, go for it. But otherwise, sometimes you think about apples and blueberries, small things, and hard fruits, figs and plums. They kind of will stay in your more immediate vicinity, and you don't have to go chasing them all around the forest. So, knowing when a fruit has been smashed enough is one of the challenges of this job. It takes a very refined eye to realize that kind of succinctness and unctuousness. So to tell a fruit is smashed enough, it just kind of depends on your vision. Sometimes, like I've mentioned, you want to make a big mess. Sometimes you don't. Mostly it depends on when Mother Earth comes to collect her prize. I've had squirrels, insects, and deer a lot of the time who begin to crawl out of the woodwork to eat the fruit that I've come to offer to them. So usually when that happens, I know the bears aren't far behind, and the wolves, coyotes, and so you got to get out of there fast. I think fruit smashing is destined for big things in our community and in the world. I think that instead of wasting food, we should just be celebrating its liberation. It's a movement of the soul, and it's one that we should embrace with love. When it comes to fruit smashing, there are many challenges that you have to deal with. Anywhere from, figuring out what is the best angle of approach, or which symbolic action is going to really open up that fruit. It's very, very much an art form and takes a lot of practice to get used to, which is why I've been smashing fruit for as long as I have. Fruit smooching and fruit smashing are two different directions that you can go in this business, and they're very different. Sometimes I'll go ahead and dedicate an entire month just to fruit smooching, whereas I'll, spend years on smashing. It's a delicate balance that you have to figure out how to strike. Fruit smooching, sometimes I'll do both on the same day. That's a little bit more of an intimate experience, excuse me, but it depends on what you think. Sometimes the fruit reaches out to me, and I like to participate in the intake of that fruit and receive part of the sacrifice that I am making. Fruit smashing is a deeply spiritual exercise. Any time that you're talking about sacrifice, there is that element of the soul involved. As you see, part of my spiritual exercise involves calling out to Mother Earth, uttering war cries, and I've spent a lot of time studying Native American calls and songs, and the performance of those rituals is a deep part of the process of releasing that fruit into the earth and calling it out to Mother Nature and the animals that this offering is available to them now. I think everyone should smash fruit. It is such a freeing experience, and just to be able to show your love to your fellow human beings and to our animal friends and to Mother Nature. to fertilize the soil and bring some of that back. It's incredibly important. I think they should teach it in grade schools. I've been doing a lot of advocacy in our community, trying to push for fruit smashing in schools, especially during the lunch hour. I mean, those kids aren't eating peas or peaches or applesauce anyway, so why not give them 5 minutes and give them the opportunity to go outside with their little plastic forks and get started. It's not about me, it's about the brothers of the bananas, the reason of the raspberries. It's for the sisters of the S fruits. It's for the future of the figs. It's for the posterity of the peaches. It's so much bigger than just us.